afternoon, everybody. I wanted to just, you hear me? Is that working?
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to just get a sense of who's in the room. Can you raise your hand if you are a developer, EPC, company? Okay, all right, maybe about half. Who's everybody else? Can you throw out some categories so we just get a sense of it? We have investors, kind of finance folks, right? And then kind of maybe
Installers.
Installers, okay. And kind of community-based organizations, okay. Attorney. All right, good. Okay, all right, that's helpful, thanks. Okay, so my name's Hannah, I'm Masterjohn. I'm with Clean Energy Collective. If you missed my colleague's presentation this morning, Jeff, we are the nation's largest community solar provider. We're based in Colorado. We're active in 11 states and across 25 utility territories. I'm actually based in Oneonta, New York. I grew up in upstate New York and have been working for at least 5 years on the policy front to make community solar a reality in New York. So to be in Syracuse with 200 people actually talking about building projects is awesome. So my role in this session is to give an overview of our community solar platform, which is a suite of tools and services that CEC has developed to help developers, utilities, and asset owners navigate the complexities of community solar. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a technology person. This is not my baby. I'm a policy person, so I'm going to probably blunder through this presentation a little bit. I'll try to answer questions, but I'm also happy to connect you with my team that manages the community solar platform if you want to learn more. All right. So again, community solar platform is software as a service, tools and services for utilities, developers, asset owners, and as we've all run through today, there are a number of complexities with community solar. From the developer side, you got to find your customers, you got to pitch them, you got to make sure they're eligible for the program. You have to enroll them. You have to make sure you're following all the tax and securities laws and everything when you're putting together your contracts, and you're adequately protecting your consumers. And you got to keep track of them as they move within the territory or out of territory or decide to unenroll or whatever it might be. On the utility side, you need to know which of your customers are participating. You need to know, you need to make sure they're eligible as well. You have to know what level of bill credit to apply each month. And you want to be able to easily kind of run reports so you can understand how is community solar affecting your system and your customers. And then connecting back on the developer side, developers need to know, when I say developers, I should be saying kind of project sponsors need to know, as your customers are getting bill credits, you need to make sure they're accurate. You need to know what they're getting, make sure they're actually showing up and be able to check that they're accurate. So that integration between developers, utilities, customers is critical, and that's what our software platform is designed to do. So again, our tools and services are shaped by our experience as a provider ourselves. So CEC launched in 2009. We've been doing this for 6 years. We started licensing our tools and services externally just last year. And we think about every license as a partnership. And as we've started to do this, we've found different partners want different things. So this chart kind of walks through how we conceive of different levels of tools and services, but ultimately it's really customized with each of our partners. So for example, I'm actually going to go to this slide first here. So for example, a utility or certain developers might just want assistance with bill crediting, with project monitoring, production tracking, compliance kind of meaning making sure customers are eligible, and then just organizing all of those various documents and storing them in a way where you can run reports and find them and all that stuff. And they're secure, you're following all the appropriate protocol. Then you can step it up to, we have a full e-commerce platform where we can create customized websites, branded, with your branding if that's what you're interested in. We can auto-generate proposals, we can auto-generate contracts, we can use your contracts, or you can license our contracts. Either way, we spend a lot of time and money on lawyers making our contracts, so we think they're pretty good. So that would be the next step up. And then let me actually go back to here. So those are kind of the first two, and those are the online tools. Sort of that first level administrative solution, and then second level, the full e-commerce package. Those are the online tools. We also then find that some partners want more engagement with us, so we can actually provide hands-on marketing, sales assistance. We have a whole telesales team and marketing team that's been specializing in nothing but community solar since 2009. And then we can also do a full suite of, if there were a utility or another kind of partner that wanted a full turnkey program, we can do everything. We can, find land, build, develop, operate the projects, O&M, we can finance the projects, all those things. That would be sort of a total program management. So again, partners fall various places along this spectrum, and that sort of covers the gamut there. So I just have two quick slides that are examples of that first foundation level package. So this one is from a utility perspective. That's just probably a poor screenshot of a utility reconciliation report. So basically, utilities might want to query their system for a lot of different things, but this would be like, who did we provide a bill credit to last month and how much was it? And so we can do all sorts of services there. And then this is the My Own Clean Energy app, which is web-based. You can access it on your desktop or on your mobile, and shows customers how their portion of the system is performing, how much money they're saving, and all that. We find, I'm sure, as you all are thinking about this and going out and talking to customers, it's that direct connection to a local project that a lot of them think is really compelling, and so our customers tend to really like this app. And I think that's most of what I wanted to cover, so I'm going to shut up and be happy to take questions. I didn't say I know nothing about it. Yes.
A bit more about the financing and where you're finding financing for these projects?
That's the thing I know least about. Yeah, I mean, we work with a number of large financing partners. U.S. Bank, Morgan Stanley, other banks you've heard of. So that's about as much as I know. Yeah.
Do you have a minimum size project?
That's a good question. For the projects we develop ourselves, the smallest is probably in the few hundred kilowatts range, all the way up to, I think we have 2.5 megawatts or so would be on the larger side. That said, we're developing right now in New York City. We're looking at relatively small-scale projects. As you all know, roofs are hard to come by there. We're also very open to doing larger-scale projects. I think 1-2 megawatts tends to be a sweet spot. Certainly right now, under the rules in New York, it's under 2 megawatts. For the partners where we're just providing this sort of software solutions, that's on them to decide. Yeah.
So what are the, thank you, first of all, what are the kind of partners you're licensing the software to?
Good question. So primarily, let me back up. Our first projects, because they were done in 2009, there was no community solar policy anywhere really. So we did them with municipal utilities. So utilities were our first customer, which is good because one of the core functions here is bill crediting. We have to really understand what they need and how that works. So utilities are certainly one big category, and we are working right now with the New York utility and hope to be working with more. Then, as we started last year to license more broadly, we've been talking with a lot of developers who, may, again, kind of, everyone's different, but we find a common scenario is that there are companies who want to develop their own projects but don't necessarily want to go find the customers or manage their customers. or manage the integration with the utility.
How do you develop your fee structures to a developer who wants to use your software?
Yeah, so if you are interested in this, I will very happily give you the contact information for my team. It's super customized depending on what tools and services you want. I mean, very generally, there's often if there's customization that you're looking for beyond kind of the base platform, there's going to be a little bit of an upfront customization fee, and then ongoing kind of license fees based on the level of service. Yeah.
Do you have the pre-screening tool where, like, say your array's in this load zone where, like, a potential customer comes on and make sure they're the right load zone, have enough, that 1,000 kilowatt hours to,
Yeah.
qualify themselves?
Yeah, so that would be the very
First step.
basic, introductory step would be to run those screens, yeah.
And you had a question over here. I know he's kind of tucked away.
Yeah.
It was answered with the partners.
What was that?
Someone else answered it.
Okay, yeah.
What about the credit of the people using who sign up for it? Do you check credit? Is that part of it?
Yeah, very good question. So for our own projects, again, if we're partnering with somebody else, you can figure that out on your own. For our own projects, we offer, at this point, essentially 2 products to customers. One is an upfront purchase product. You buy your panels, you own the rights to the output for the life of the project. So that's, an upfront cash purchase, which they can finance if they'd like. The other is more of a pay-as-you-go product, so they pay us a subscription fee each month, and then they get their bill credits, and that nets out so that they're saving money from day one. For that one, for the pay-as-you-go, we do run a credit check because our investors require it. We don't use third-party credit check, and they just return a pass-fail to us.
What is your default rate then?
I don't know. I think it's comparable to most. I don't know the exact number, but I think it's comparable to most solar providers who offer that kind of financing.
This is actually a question both to you and to the other software developers. What are you using for handling sensitive personal information, SPI, and how are you encrypting data? What's your mechanism for securing that information?
Yeah. So me, the non-tech person, isn't going to be able to throw out the acronyms, but what I can say is that in our partnership with big utilities, including one we're working with in New York, that is a major issue and going to, I think, become just a bigger and bigger issue as cyber security concerns increase. So it is certainly on our radar. We've certainly invested a lot of money in it. I think we'll be able to give a more detailed answer.
I could try. We use it. It depends on what the information is in particular. So there are certain fields that would be encrypted in the database. So things like customer's account number with the utility. Things like payment information that are stored are all stored on a third-party payment processor's database, and we interact with those payment methods through a tokenization system. So a tokenization system is basically a handshake where we need to present a certain code in order to activate a payment, and then the third party knows that it is us, and then they activate the payment. So the actual credit card information or ACH information that you're storing is on a third party, completely secured. PCI compliance is the actual security level. So it's a tier 1 PCI compliant facility.
So following up on that question, are you cloud-based, or do you actually have hardware that you have it kind of secured at a secure location? Where are your servers?
Yeah, also a great question that I don't know the answer to. I think as much as I can say about that would be that I know that when we talk about integrating with utility bill crediting systems, our software kind of stands in parallel to theirs and then communicates. It's not that we're actually fully integrating with their in-house systems, if that makes sense. But I think you can probably answer that.
Yeah. There are standards, data standards released by NIST that are pretty standard in the industry for communicating with different devices. So we have those. Those are employed for all of our systems. We communicate with third-party data loggers at times, which is mentioned things like SolarWind View. You can tap into those devices using just a standard Modbus protocol, which has been around for 30 years. So there are lots of industry standards around that. And then we also have our own device that we install on devices on sites that we communicate with using the same protocols.
Thank you.
Any other questions for you?
I actually have a question for everyone on the panel. We talked this morning quite a lot about reaching out to LMI customers. There are some reports from IRAC and Great Alternatives that come out about reaching this market, talk about the importance of marketing in native languages. So I think for many of us that would certainly involve Spanish, perhaps Mandarin or other Asian languages. Do any of your platforms have a customer-facing presence that deals with language barriers and alternative languages?
I truly don't know. I know that, I know we have a number of partnerships in place designed to get better access into LMI communities, but I don't know specifics.
Yeah, so we, right now, that's a no, but we are actually actively working with a very large developer in Florida. And in Florida, being able to accommodate Spanish speakers is not it's not an option. You have to. So very soon, fingers crossed, but that will be something that we support.
Not currently, but our technology and software is built to be very versatile, so we can easily implement.
On the Solstice site, I don't know, but I can find out.
All right, we'll follow up and make sure this information gets out. All right, I think we'll